Hi guys, this is AQA GCSE Maths Paper 1 from the 2020 series. Okay, let's start. Question 1. Circle the fraction that is equivalent to 4.75. 19 over 4. Question 2. Actually, let me just explain why. This is 3.75. This, like we said, is 4.75. This is 5.25. And the last one is 5.75. Here is vector A. Circle the column vector that represents A. Okay. So a thing to remember when you're working with questions like these, remember that movement, either left or right, is relative to the x-axis, and movement up and down is relative to the y-axis. So in this case, moving right, so it's positive in the x-axis, and moving down, so it's negative at the y-axis. And we're moving to the right by 3, and we're moving down by 2. So the way to remember this is plus 3 because it's moving to the right, and minus 2 because it's moving down by 2. So it's 3, negative 2. Okay. Which one of these is a square and a cube number? Now, a way to do this quickly is go through all the options. 100 is a square number, it's not a cube number. 1,000 is a cube number, but it's not a square number. 10,000 is a square number, but it's not a cube number, so it must be 1 million. Another way to see why this is true is 1 million has 6 zeros, and if it's a square and a cube, it's square cubed, or it's x cubed squared. And remember that when you're working with powers raised to another power, you multiply them. So it's x to the 6, and 1 million has 6 zeros, so it must be 1 million. Question 4, circle the reciprocal of 5 over 6. Okay, so to do this, just swap the two numbers around. So you get 6 over 5. Or if you really wanted to do it in a long method, it's 1 over 5 over 6, which is 1 times 6 over 5. Question 5, use trig to work out the size of angle x. So we are given that the hypotenuse is 18 centimeters and the adjacent side is 9 centimeters. So remember SOHCAHTOA, right? If you just can't see that it's cosine that we're using straight away, remember SOHCAHTOA. And we are given the adjacent side, adjacent ADJ, and hypotenuse. So it's this part. And then we have a C because it's the cosine. So we have a cosine because it's the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So the cosine of x is equal to the adjacent over hypotenuse, which is 9 over 18, which implies that the cosine of x is a half. Now remember your trig values, and you should get that x is 60 degrees because a cosine graph looks something like this. So we start off at 1 and we go down and back up. So it's half at this point. So it's somewhere over here between 0 and 90. So it's going to be 60 degrees because we know that cosine of 90, right? What's the cosine of 90, guys? 0. So it must be 60 because it's the only other known value for the cosine. Question 6, A and B are scatter graphs. Which type of correlation is shown by each graph? So for graph A, you can see there's a negative correlation because as x increases, y decreases, or rather as x goes up, y goes down. So it's a negative correlation. And you can see it's very strong. So we can say it's a strong negative correlation. Right, strong negative. And for graph B, there's literally no correlation. We just say no correlation. And that's how we do this question. Now moving on. Question 7. Here's some information about 80 people who play in bands. 12 are singers but not play guitars. 30% are neither a singer nor guitar player. a quarter of the guitar players are also singers. Complete the Venn diagram to represent the information. Okay. So I'm going to put the obvious information straight away. 12 are singers but not guitar players. So singers but not guitar players is this region over here. I'm outlining. This is singers but not guitar players. So we know this is 12. Then what else do we have? 30% are neither singer nor guitar player. So outside the circles, that represents neither singers nor guitar players. So 30% of 80, which is 24, do neither. So we have 24 outside the circle. 24, because it was 30% of the people, like we calculated. Okay. Now what can we do? We know that a quarter of the guitar players are also singers, which means that this represents the intersection between our singers and guitar players. So first we need to work out how many guitar players there are in total. Okay, so we can work that out by doing 80 minus 12 plus 24. So that's equal to 80 minus 36, which is 44. So 44 guitar players. Now, there are 44 guitar players. We know that a quarter of them are also singers. So a quarter of 44 is 11. So we can put in 11 over here. And therefore this must be 33 because of 44 minus 11 is 33. So there's only 33 people who play only guitar, because 44, number 44 represents all the guitar players. So those could be people who play only guitar and people who sing and play guitar. So this number 44, is only guitar plus guitar and sing. Remember, you have to be careful with working with Venn diagrams. Okay, question 8. The shorter side of a parallelogram has length 6.5 centimeters. The length of the shorter side is 1/9 of the perimeter. Work out the length of the longer side. Okay, so I'm also just going to label this 6.5. I'm going to label this X, and obviously this has to be X as well. So we know that 6.5 is 1/9 of the perimeter P. So perimeter must be 6.5 times 9. And if you can't do this straight away, I would suggest doing 6 times 9 first, which is 54, and then half times 9, which is 4.5. So our perimeter, therefore, is 58.5 centimeters. Now at the perimeter, so you have to add all the lengths. So we have 2 times 6.5, and we add that to 2x, and we say it's equal to our 58.5. Okay, so that means 2x is equal to 58.5 minus 13, because this is 13. So now we subtract 13 from both sides. So we get 45.5. So x is equal to 45.5 over 2. And this is equal to 22.75 centimeters. Okay, question 9. all the terms of a geometric progression are positive. The second and fourth term are shown. Now, we first have to work out the ratio. The ratio represents the number we multiply each time to get the next sequence. So we know that r to the 4, because the fourth term is 16. And we also know that the second term, r squared, is equal to 4. So quick thing we could do is do r to the 4 over r squared is equal to 16 over 4, which means that r squared is equal to 4. So our common ratio is 2. So we're multiplying by 2 each time. So the first term must be 2, and the third term must be 8, because 2 cubed is the third term, and that is equal to 8. So we'll have 2 and 8. Question 9b. The first two terms of an arithmetic progression are shown. The sum of the first three terms is 90. Work out the value of p. So it's an arithmetic progression, which means that there's a common difference. So the difference between 5p and p is 4p. So we add 4p to 5p to get the third. Okay, so now we have the sum is equal to 90. So we have p plus 5p plus 9p is equal to 90. So you can therefore say that 15p is equal to 90. So p therefore must be equal to 6. Just to show you again what we've done, the common difference, let me write this step out. Common diff is 5p minus p, which is 4p. And what we did to get the third term of the sequence is add 4p to 5. And so then we sum them up and you got 15p is equal to 90. Now divide both sides by 15 and you get 6. Question 10. The cost of a holiday is £2,400. Raina pays a deposit followed by monthly payments in the ratio 3:5. She makes 6 equal monthly payments. Work out her monthly payment. Okay, so we're going to work out the total of the monthly payments. Total of the monthly payments. I'm going to write this total of monthly is equal to 3/8 of 2,400, because there's 8 parts in total. Oh, hold on a second. Because there's 8 parts. The total of the monthly is 5/8 of 2,400, because the ratio is 3:5. So we do 5/8 of 2,400, which should give you 1,500, because 2,400 divided by 8 is 300, and 300 times 5 is £1,500. So he pays £1,500 over 6 months. So each month he pays 1,500 over 6 per month, because they're equal. So this is equal to £250. Question 11. As a decimal, 11 over 40 is 0.275. Work out 33 over 400 as a decimal. Now what we can do from here, we can do 11 over 40 times 3/10, because this is the same as 33 over 400. So first, what I'm going to do is write 11 over 400, and then we're multiplying by 3. So 11 over 400 is 0.275 divided by 10. So we have 0.0275, and multiply this by 3. So how would we go about doing this? Well, it would just be 0. Actually, what's a better way to explain this? Step maybe if I said, okay, we know that it's the answer is 0.0825 because 275 times 3, if you work this out, this is equal to 15. Carry the 1 over, get 2, right? And then we have 2 over here, and 3 times 2 is 6, and add it to 825. So this is the relationship between solving this and solving 275 times 3. Okay, question 12. Two Y shapes make an earring. The shapes are a circle with radius 21 millimeters and a quarter circle. And the radius of the circle to the radius of the quarter circle have the ratio 7:2. Show that the radius of the quarter circle is 6 millimeters. But we know that 21 represents 7. So X represents 2. So X is equal to 21 over 7 times 2, which is equal to 6 millimeters. Question 12b, work out the total length of the wire in the earring. Give your answer in the form a pi plus b, where a and b are integers. Okay, so I'm going to first draw this, and this is 21 because it's the radius. And we calculated that the radius of the quarter circle is equal to 6. Okay, so let me label this again. So something like this length is equal to 6. And it asks us to work out basically what the length is. So the length in this case is the circumference of this circle plus these two lengths and the quarter of the circumference, because it's a quarter circle. So for the big circle, we use the formula circumference is given by pi times diameter. So it's pi times 42 because the radius is 21. So it's 42 pi. And for the quarter circle, we need to do some more work than just doing this. So what I'm going to say is it is not just the circumference, or rather quarter circumference, because it's a quarter circle. It's also these lengths here, these two side lengths. So for the circumference of the quarter circle, we will do pi times the diameter again, which in this case is 12, because the radius is 6, and then divided by 4 because it's quarter. We also have to add on these extra two lengths, which are both equal to 6. So plus 6 plus 6, which is equal to, well, 12 times pi is 12 pi, 12 pi over 4 is 3 pi, and 6 plus 6 is 12. So for the quarter circle, it's 3 pi plus 12. So we add them together. So we'll have 42 pi plus 3 pi plus 12, which is equal to 45 pi plus 12 millimeters. Okay, question 13. S and t are positive integers. X plus s times x minus t is expanded and simplified. The answer is x squared plus kx minus 40, where k is a positive integer. Work out the smallest possible value of k. Now, whenever we expand, what we do is use FOIL first, outside, inside, last. So if you use the FOIL technique, then k is basically when we have, k is the coefficient of the x term. So if we expanded x plus s and x minus t, the coefficients would therefore be minus t, right? Because we would do x times minus t, so we'll have minus t, and you'll have plus s. This is how we get our coefficient of x, right? But also realize that the s is multiplied by the minus t to give us the constant term. So minus st is equal to minus 40. Now what we can do is figure out pairs of numbers which will give us negative 40. So what we could do is have, for example, minus 2 and 20 will give us minus 40. However, the sum of minus 2 and 20 is 18. Right? So basically, if you find pairs, basically finding pairs of numbers that multiply to negative 40, and then find the sum of the two numbers. And then step 2, second step is sum them together. Okay. And then see for which two numbers you have the smallest sum. So for minus 2 and 20, we get 18 as the sum. So it's not that. So let me try, I don't know, minus 5 and 8. Minus 5 times 8 is minus 40. And minus 5 plus 8 is 3. So that's a pretty small number. But I'm going to keep working out pairs until I get the smallest. However, I don't think there are any small numbers that would multiply to minus 40. So our answer is therefore equal to 3. Faisal tries to solve x plus 2 times x minus 7 is 0. His working is shown. Give a reason why his answer is wrong. Well, we know the answer is x equals minus 2. So we can say he forgot to change the sign. So forgot change of sign. And that is how you do it. I don't think it's enough just to give the right answer. Okay, question 14. C equals 2 to the power of 10 times 3 times 5 to the power of 6. Work out 18C. Give your answer as a product of prime factors in index form. Okay. So to get to 18C from C, we are multiplying by 18. And 18 as a product of prime factors is equal to 3 squared times 2. So now all we're going to do is multiply the value of C by 3 squared times 2, which means that 18C is equal to 3 squared times 2 times 2 to the 10 times 3 times 5 to the 6. Now we add the powers if you have to. So we will get 2 to the 11th power times 3 cubed times 5 to the 6. And that is our final answer. Let me write it down again. 2 to the 11 times 3 cubed times 5 to the 6. Question 14b. Work out the cube root of 2 to the 7 times 11 cubed over 2. Okay. I'm actually going to use a trick here. I'm going to rewrite what's inside the cube root. So I'm going to rewrite it as the cube root of 2 to the 7 over 2 times 11. Okay. So therefore I can do something like this. I can simplify this again. So it's the cube root of 2 to the 6 times 11 cubed. Sorry, this would be 11 cubed. Now, this is the same as 2 to the power of 6 times 11 cubed to the power of 1/3. Okay, now when we're working with powers on the outside and powers on the inside, you multiply the powers. Sorry, yeah, you do multiply the powers. So you get 6 times 1/3. So you have 2 to the power of 6 to the power of 1/3. So you multiply them together. 1/3 of 6 is 2. So there's 2 to the power of 2. And the 3 times 1/3 is just 1. So you get 2 squared times 11. So it's 4 times 11, which is equal to 44. Now don't fall into the trick. You might, this is the correct way doing this. This is the wrong way. What you might try and do if you're on a rush. Wrong way. I'm not saying it's the wrong way, I'm just saying you'll find it very difficult in time to get the answer. The wrong way is to say this is the cube root of, and then do something crazy like, I don't know, whatever you feel like doing, just don't do something like expand the two numbers, because you'll find it very hard to then work out what the cube root of the number is. But in this case, I can tell you that if you did, then you get 128 times 1,331. Don't do it this way, because to work out 128 times 1,331 over 2, it takes too long. In case you use the trick I showed you and simplify what's inside this under root symbol. Okay, question 15. 3x is a half y, calculate the ratio, or circle the ratio x is to y. Okay, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2, so 6x equals y. Okay, so 6x equals y, which means that this also means that x is smaller than y. Okay, so it's not this first option here. This is to trick you. And I'll tell you why. Because for every 1 y terms, you have 6 x terms, right? Does that make sense? So this is the actual answer. 1:6. Question 16. A sequence of numbers formed by the iterative process. It gives you whatever this formula is. It tells you the first term is 9. Work out the values of u2 and u3. So u2 is equal to 4 over u1 minus 1, which is equal to 4 over 9 minus 1, which is equal to 4 over 8, which is a half. Similarly, to get u3 is equal to 4 over u2 minus 1, which is equal to 4 over a half minus 1, which is equal to 4 over negative a half, which is equal to minus 8. So the answer will be u2 is equal to half and u3 is minus 8. Question 17. Jim buys a plant of height 20 centimeters. The graph shows how the height of the plant changes during the next 4 days. Work out a formula for h in terms of n. Okay, so I'm going to do change in y but change in x to get the gradient, because just think about this as a straight line. So dy dx. This triangle, by the way, just shows change. So the dx is just 4, and the dy is 30. This is 32, and it starts off at 20, so 32 minus 20, which is 12, and over 4, so it's 3. And at the start, at 0 days, it's at 20 centimeters already. So our height is therefore given by 3n plus 20. And we can confirm this because 3 times 4 plus 20 is equal to 32. So you know that you're correct. Question 18. Solve the simultaneous equations. Okay, so I'm just going to rewrite everything. 15. So we've got 2x plus 4y is equal to minus 9. And I'm just going to bring everything onto one side. except for the minus 7. So I'm going to say that minus 4x plus 2y is equal to minus 7. Okay, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to multiply the first equation, equation 1, equation 2. I'm going to label them. So I'm going to do equation 1 times 2. So this gives us that 4x plus 8y is equal to minus 18. And I'm not going to do anything to equation 2. I'm just going to put it down here. Minus 4x plus 2y is equal to minus 7. Now, I'm going to add these two together. So 4 plus minus 4x, sorry, 4x plus minus 4x is 0x, 0. 8y plus 2y is 10y. And you have a minus 18 plus minus 7. So you have a minus 25. So our y, therefore, is equal to minus 2.5. Now rearrange and substitute rather to find x. So 2y is equal to 4x minus 7. So substitute y in, so you get minus 5 here is equal to 4x minus 7. So 4x must equal then to the value of 2. So x is equal to half. And that's how you do this. X is half, 0.5, and y is minus 2.5. Question 19, circle the expression is equivalent to this up here. So common denominator is 10. So we have x, and we're going to multiply this by 2. So we get 2x plus x over 10. So that's 3x over 10. So it's the first option. So we're going to circle this one. Write down the value of 7 to the power of 0. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. So it's just 1. Work out the value of 32 to the power of minus 3 over 5. I'm going to rewrite this as 1 over. Now I'm being very careful because I'm only doing this because it's to the negative power. So that's when we do reciprocals. So this is the same as 1 over 32 to the power of 3/5. Now when you do the reciprocal, then the negative becomes a positive. That's why I wrote 3/5 and not negative 3/5. And we know that 2 to the 5 is 32. So what I'm going to do is, this is 1 over the 5th root of 32. And that cubed. And because 2 to the 5 is 32, I can say the 5th root of 32 is 2. So this is the same as 1 over 2 cubed, which is 1 over 8. So the answer is 1 over 8. Next question. Write these numbers in order of size. So 15.6 is just 15.6. Root 23 is less than 5. Okay, and if it's less than 5, multiply by 3, then we can say 3 root 23 is less than 15, right? If root 23, let me explain this. If root 23 is less than 5, then 3 root 23 must be less than 15, okay? Because root 25 is 5, so if it's root 23, it must be less than 5. So 3 times root 23 must be less than 3 times 5. So we know that 3 root 23 is less than 15. And we also know that 2 to the power of 4 is 16. So if it's 2.1, it also must, we know that 2.1 to the power of 4 must be greater than 16. And 47 over 3 is just equal to 15.67. Okay, so the smallest number would actually be equal to the number 3 root 23. So first, we have 3 root 23 because it's the smallest, because it's less than 15. Okay. Then we'll have the number, which is 15.6. Then we'll have 47/3. And then the largest number actually is 2.1 to the power of 4. Next question, 22a. Y is directly proportional to x cubed. Y is 17 and x is 4. Work out an equation for y in terms of x. So y is directly proportional to x cubed, so y is k times x cubed. And y is 17, then x is 4, k times 4 cubed. So k is equal to 17 over 4 cubed. And 4 cubed is 64. So k is 17 over 64. And we're basically almost done. All we have to write now is y is 17 over 64 x cubed. And we are done with this part. M is inversely proportional to root r. The value of r is multiplied by 4. Circle what happens to the value of m. Okay, so we have that m is equal to k over root r. And now we're saying we're multiplying the value of r by 4. So this is before. And now the after is when we multiply the value of r by 4. So now we have that m is equal to k over, not r, but 4r. So we have root 4r. And now to see what actually happens to the value of m, what I'm going to do is split this. So what I mean by split this is I'm going to say this is equal to k over root 4 times root r, which means that it's equal to k over 2 root r. Okay, so we're not actually, you might think, oh, this means we're multiplying by 2, but in this case, we're actually dividing by 2. Because let me show you what this means. It's k over 2 times 1 over root r. So we're actually doing k over 2 times 1 over root r. Another way I'm saying this is a half k times 1 over root r. So we know, therefore, it's dividing by 2 because we put a half k. And halving is basically dividing by 2. Okay. Question 23. ABC is a quadrilateral. Prove that ABCD is not a cyclic quadrilateral. Okay. First, I'm going to do is find the value of x. So I can say that 4x plus 92 is 180 because opposite sides add up to 180. So 4x must be equal to 88. So x is 22. Okay. If x is 22, what can I say? I can say that in order to be cyclic, both opposite sides must add up to 180. But it probably won't because it's not a cyclic quadrilateral. So 5x plus 30 plus x plus 36. If we sub in 22, we get 110 plus 30 plus 22 plus 36. Okay, and if we solve this, we get 110 plus 30 is 140, and 140 plus 22 plus 36 is what we're trying to figure out next. So it's 110 plus 30 plus 22 plus 36. Okay, and this is equal to 198 degrees. And so 198 is not equal to 180. So therefore it's not cyclic. Okay. Question 24. Y is an obtuse angle. Which statement is true? Tick one box. Okay. So what I'm going to do for this question I'm going to draw the sine and cosine graphs. So you have a visual understanding. This is 1 and -1. So I'm going to start labeling the x-axis now 0.90. I'm going to label 180, 270, and 360. Just in case you don't actually know what the answer is straight away. Most people wouldn't know what the answer is straight away. So first I'm going to label or to draw the sine graph. So for the sine graph, we start at 0, and at 0.90, we're at 1. At 180, we're at 0. 270, we're at -1. And at 360, we are back at 0. So our graph will look something like this. I draw it carefully. Goes down, becomes negative, slowly, and becomes 0 again. And on this side, increases to 1 at 0.90. X is 90 degrees. This is our sine graph. So sine of x. And I'm going to draw now the cosine of x. The cosine of x starts off at 1. Then at 90 degrees, we're at 0. And then at 180 degrees, we're at -1. At 270, we're at 0. And at 360, we're at 1 again. So cosine graphs look something like this. Come all the way down. 180, we're at -1. 270, we're at 0. And at 360, we're at 1. So this is a cosine of x. Well, I'm just going to call it x for now. So this is the x-axis and the y-axis. Now our angle is obtuse, which means it's between 0 and, between 90 and 180. That's what it means to be obtuse. So our angle is between 90 and 180 degrees. So for the sine graph, when it's between 90 and 180, you can see it's clearly positive. It's positive for the sine graph. And for the cosine graph, we can see between 90 and 180, we are negative. So sine of y is greater than 0 and cosine of y is less than 0. So we tick the box. Okay, question 25. A histogram is drawn to represent the heights of sample of women. 3 of the 4 bars are shown. The bar for heights between 170 and 180 is missing. There are 74 women in the sample. Complete the histogram. Okay. Before I do anything, I'm going to write down the key formula, which is that frequency density. Okay, the frequency density is given by frequency over class width, right? Frequency of class width. So in this case, we are given the frequency density and the class width, right? Because we're given the heights. So we know the difference between each interval of heights from the x-axis. Okay, so there are 74 women in the sample. Okay, so straight away what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that this interval is 5 labeled intervals actually. This is 10, and this interval again is 5. So for bar 1, we have 5 multiplied by 2. That's the frequency. So 5 multiplied by 2. For the second one, we have 10 multiplied by 3. And for the third one, we have 5 multiplied by 4. Okay. So this is equal to 10 plus 30 plus 20 equals 60 people. So 60 people are already represented by these 3 bars, which means there are 74 minus 60 people remaining to represent, which is 14 people. So 14 people, right, are represented by the 4th bar, which we're going to draw. Okay, in order to do this now, we know that the class width for 170 to 180 is 10. So our frequency density is given by the formula shown above, is equal to the frequency over the class width. So we know the frequency is 14 because there's 14 people, and class width is 10 because it's between 170 and 180. So our frequency density is therefore 1.4. And now we can actually draw this. So 170 to 180. So this is where we draw it. And that's it. If you want to shade it in, you can shade it in. Okay. Question 26a. Show that 14 over root 7 can be written in the form a root b. Now, typically in exam, they want you to do it this way. They want you to do that 14 over root 7 is 14 over root 7 times root 7 over root 7. So they want you to do something like this, so that you get 14 root 7 over 7, which is equal to 2 root 7. Or you could think about it this way. Or you could do that. We know the fact that root 7 times root 7 is 7. And we also know that 7 times 2 is 14. So from root 7 to get to 14, we multiplied by root 7 and then by 2. So the answer is 2 root 7. Either way is fine, but I want to show you both ways. Okay. Work out 2 root 10 times root 80 times root 18. Give your answer as an integer. Okay. So first, I'm going to work out what root 80 is as a simplified surd. Okay, so we know that root 80 is root 16 times root 5. Okay, so I'm going to say that this is the same as 4 root 5. And root 18 is root 9 times root 2, because that's how you do it in terms of surds. So I'm going to say this is equal to root 18. So this is 3 root 2. Now we can move forward with the question. So we have 2 root 10 times 4 root 5 times 3 root 2, which is equal to 2 times 4 times 3, and into brackets, root 10 times 5 times 2. Okay. In the left bracket, 2 times 4 times 3 is 24. And in the right bracket, we have the root of 10 times 5 times 2, which is 100. So we do 24 times root 100, which is equal to 24 times 10. So the answer is 240. Okay. Question 27. A and B are similar solid cylinders. The ratio of the base area of A to the base area of B is 9:25. Complete the ratio. For the curved surface area of A to the curved surface area of B. We're still talking about surface area and area, so the ratios doesn't change. It's still 9:25. And for the height of A to the height of B, it's 3:5. Because remember, to get the normals, remember the scale factor is square rooted. So you can do root 9/25, which is 3/5 for A to B. This is A and this is B. So the ratio is 3:5. Factorize fully. 144 minus 4x squared. First, you see the common factor is 4. So you have 4 times 36 minus x squared. Now, what's inside the brackets is just what I like to call method of, we actually know it's difference of 2 squares. So you have 6 plus x and 6 minus x. Okay, so I'm going to write again 6 plus x and 6 minus x. Okay, so that's done. Question 29. The graph of y equals x cubed plus 6 is translated 4 units to the right. The translated graph has the equation y equals f of x. Work out f of x. Okay, so if it's moved to the right, so it's in this direction. So we will have Therefore, x minus 4, because if it's moving to the right, it's positive. Remember, moving positive translation, because it's moving to the right. So therefore, in the brackets, we'll put a negative, because whatever is inside the brackets, we always do the opposite of that. So it's moved to the right and it's positive. Therefore, we put x minus 4 into brackets, and then we put plus 6 outside. So we can, I like to do it this way. So x minus 4 times x minus 4 squared plus 6. So if you do this, we do this really quickly. So x minus 4, and then we have into brackets x squared minus 8x plus 16, and then plus 6 again. And then I can do simplifying and then expanding. Okay, so you have an x cubed, and then the minus 8x squared, and then have a plus 16x. I'll also have a minus 4x squared. I will also have a plus 32x and a minus 64, and then again a plus 6. Okay, so if I simplify this, the x cubed doesn't change, so I have an x cubed minus 8x squared minus 4x squared, so it's minus 12x squared. 16x plus 32x is 48x, so a plus 48x, and minus 64 plus 6 is minus 58. And that is the end of the question paper. I've answered all the questions, and yeah, hopefully that's been good. And yeah, that's the end of it. So hopefully I can actually upload paper 2 soon as well. Yeah. Bye. Okay.